Okay. We're once again, this is Obi, the biggest, baddest blogger, and I'm here with a very special guest, the former Prime Minister of St. Kitts Nevis, the one Denzel Llewellyn Douglas, better known as Douggie. And we're just going to ask him, I'm just going to ask him some questions as related to a Facebook Live that I did with the current Prime Minister, Timothy Harris. And first question I want to start off by asking you, former Prime Minister. The Prime Minister called you a traitor.
Traitor?
He called you a traitor as regards to the whole Dominican passport issue.
Oh.
How would you respond to that?
Normally I would say in my style, nonsense, but I won't. Just simply dismiss it with that.
Okay.
I really think it is the working of a very pathetic mind that Dr. Harris has.
Mm-hmm.
You see, I think we need to know the genesis, the beginning of this whole matter of the diplomatic passport issue. There's a policy that Dr. Harris met when he became the Prime Minister. There's a policy that we have enhanced after looking at the policies of Caribbean governments, where a package is put together for former members of parliament who would have served for more than 2 terms, former prime ministers, heads of government and heads of state. And so we thought then that a policy like that would be to enhance good governance, democracy and so forth in our country. Lo and behold, when Prime Minister Harris came into the office, he said that diplomatic passport for Dr. Douglas is not going to be allowed. This is not law, this is policy, and any policy can change. And so he went ahead, it would appear, single-handedly and changed the policy. In fact, some of his own cabinet colleagues were not even aware, it would appear, because they would say, no, Dr. Douglas has a diplomatic passport, etc. As a result of that action on his part, which was a deliberate, malicious and spiteful action, other prime ministers in the Caribbean spoke out against it privately to him. One of the prime ministers went further and said, listen, as a matter of courtesy to our former colleague who had served the longest, not only here in the Caribbean but in the Commonwealth, we should really give him a diplomatic passport. And he offered, that is Prime Minister Skerritt of Dominica, offered to give me a diplomatic passport to facilitate travel and a courtesy of his government. That was it. Harris, as childish and as spiteful as he's now known to have become, simply became very angry, very annoyed, and began to pursue me and Skerritt on the basis that this act was in fact designating Douglas as a citizen of Dominica. And on that basis, he and his Attorney General, who should be advising him properly, went ahead and pursued this matter in court. This is a matter that was already determined by the courts when Harris made that statement to you a few weeks ago. Yes. He knew the judges had already ruled on that and said that was nonsense. Douglas was not a citizen of Dominica. This diplomatic Dominican passport does not confer any allegiance of Douglas to the government of Dominica. It does not show any obedience of Douglas's part to the Dominican government and people. Therefore, this matter is quashed.
So what about, I think I heard somewhere that they're going to appeal the decision.
Right. Yeah. That is it. He has appealed the decision.
Okay.
And let me inform the entire nation and the world that this appeal was heard last week, Thursday.
Oh, you were there?
Of course.
And what
last week, Thursday, in Antigua and Barbuda, when the Supreme Court, that is the appeals court, was sitting in St. John's, Antigua.
Okay.
And we've come back from that hearing. The judgment or the decision of the appeal court is being awaited, but you've still heard nothing from him. But I can tell you that judgment, I am certain, is going to uphold the judgment of Justice Ward at the lower court of the Supreme level. And that is the same thing. Douglas is not a citizen. Douglas, by holding a passport, does not show any disloyalty to his country. There is no divided loyalty with Dominica. And so Harris, again, is just shooting in the dark, simply because he's trying to find some way of belittling Douglas, undermining the people's confidence in Douglas as he plans to start his election campaign. But that will not give him any lift. The people of St. Kitts and Nevis, and notice I said St. Kitts and Nevis, have already determined that Harris must go. And this nonsense of passport issue and disloyalty and so forth, and a traitor and so on, is absolute nonsense. If there's any person who is a traitor in all of this, is Harris. Treacherous in terms of how he behaved with the Labour Party government. Very, very much of a traitor is what he displayed in that regard.
Okay, in terms of you brought up the issue of the upcoming election soon, right? Because this is more or less election season. Election is due next year, early next year, and maybe later. But isn't it due like February 2020?
No. You see, according to our constitution, the Parliament dissolves 5 years after it would have opened.
Yes.
After the elections in February, the Parliament opened in May.
Oh, I got you. Okay, I got you.
So 5 years really is May of next year, and then our constitution allows for an additional 90 days or 3 months, within which, after the Parliament is dissolved, to call the election.
But you see, doing something like that makes you look weak, makes you look like as if you're in this.
So he's going to try to take as much as he can from this one term that he's going to get. One term.
Okay, let me ask you this. So, when I spoke to Harris, Dr. Harris, the Prime Minister Harris, he talks about doing something with the overseas votes and trying to bring in a residency requirement. And in the way I look at it, personally, I look at it that it's a way to end or limit the overseas voters, right? And maybe to even make a little slight move at Premier Brantley. What do you think?
No, not a slight move, undermining.
You think is a move to undermine
I can tell
Premier
you,
Brantley?
As a politician of some note,
okay,
I can tell you that if Brantley is smart, and I think he's smart, he should not ever overlook that move on the part of Harris. I know that he talked about people from St. Paul's and constituency number 6, my good people, seem to be always in his crop, that they move from here and there and register here and there and so forth. Harris moved people out of Sadler's, constituency number 6, into his own constituency, Tabernacle number 7.
Okay.
Harris moved people when he was in my government, deliberately against our wishes, moved people out of number 8, Utleys in number 8, where Cedric Lywood was the candidate, into his own constituency, bordering number 8, Utleys Lodge. This is the nature of this guy, this nature of the beast, to be frank with you. So, listen, if Mark is not mindful, Premier Brantley, I should say, if he's not mindful, Harris will stay right there in his own government, where Mark is sitting across the table from him, and undermine him.
But there's some allegations that they are not really seen eye to eye, strategically and politically in the unity construct. So is that a real thing or just talk? Do you think?
This can't be just talk, because people need to listen to the people who are close to us. Dr. Harris is very uneasy, very uneasy, feels unsafe with Mark Brantley saying he's going to get 3 seats in this.
Okay. What do you think that is?
The greatest sin that Mark could have committed is declaring that
Oh.
he's going to go after 3 seats.
Because you think.
Because in going after 3 seats, what is he saying to Harris in his mind is that, boy, I'm going to come to the table if it needs be with 3. You better watch it. Because there's no certainty that you will be Prime Minister again.
Oh, but.
I believe that is exactly what is operating in Harris's mind. I know the guy. It's 18 years he was part of my cabinet.
Okay.
18 years.
So you think it's a move to try to.
Of course, he's going to try to undermine Mark Van Clay.
Okay, let's shift topics a little bit.
Yes.
There was an issue in the news recently about a speaker that came down from the government of Antigua.
Antigua and Barbuda?
Yeah, can you speak to that and what the controversy about it? And because it's alleged that the PM Harris said something, made some
That's
threats.
alleged.
Okay.
I'm telling you, this is no allegation.
Okay.
This is a fact.
Okay.
The Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, Honorable Gaston Brown, reported to his minister, Michael Brown, who was here last week, Saturday, to speak at our introduction of the candidate against Harris. Our candidate is Leon Natter.
Okay.
Nelson. And just after midnight, according to Prime Minister Gaston Brown, just after midnight, he received a call from Timothy Harris, Prime Minister of St. Kitts. And he was saying in that conversation to Gaston that, Gaston, if Michael is allowed to speak on that platform for Labour in my own constituency, I consider that to be a declaration of war, and you cannot allow your minister to do that. Gaston Brown, Prime Minister of Antigua, went on to further inform Michael that Harris said, if he is going to do that, I cannot guarantee his safety while here in St. Kitts and Nevis. I'm very serious about that. And he went on further.
Okay.
He said, not only I would not be able to guarantee his safety, but I don't think I would allow him to come back into St. Kitts after he would have left. 3 serious matters that came from Harris, the sitting chairman of the Caribbean community, making those threatening words, statements for a colleague that is sitting with him in the Caribbean community. But not only that, Gaston just about 2 weeks ago took over the chairmanship of the OECS authority.
Oh.
And that is why this is so bad. This is a matter that has already reached way beyond the borders of the Caribbean region.
Okay.
Because people are saying, international institutions are saying, what is it that is so wrong with Harris? Why he has to be doing this? A young man. He put the young man in jail when he heard that this young man was going to be a candidate under some trumped up charge that some lady told him that when Natter came to her house, he was canvassing, and that is against the public service regulations. The judge ruled recently, absolute nonsense.
Yeah, that was turned up. I mean, he won that case.
He used that, of course. He won the case, and he will win it again.
Oh, there's an appeal?
They have appeal, we
okay.
understand. They have appeal.
Okay.
You see, he's just taking millions of dollars of taxpayers' money and wasting it on his own little political agenda, which to a large extent is undermining our democracy, a threat to the very good governance agenda that he spoke so much about when he was in opposition. And it displays his spitefulness and his vindictiveness, behaving like some little schoolboy on a play field who, when he doesn't get his man, take up his ball and his bat and go home with it. This is the nature of our Prime Minister. Okay. It is sad. Okay. Very, very sad.
Do you think he should release the IMF report?
Definitely.
Okay.
And I have been very, very consistent in calling for that.
Why you think he's holding it back? You think there's some
I believe
something you don't want the public to
that
see?
Harris has developed what has become known as a penchant for lying. He has contrived over the last few months and years a whole heap of statistics which don't really exist. The IMF report would be a credible institutional report on the economy and the financial situation of St. Kitts and Nevis.
Okay.
We are a member of the IMF.
Yes.
There's an Article 4 assessment that was done in June and July. In fact, it was headed by another Caribbean personality, McIntyre, who works with the IMF. McIntyre is originally from Grenada. He headed the delegation here. They spent weeks here going through the public records, both in the central government, the Nevis Island Administration, and in the state corporation, looking at their accounts. And they have come up with credible statistics and an assessment of the state of the economy, which normally would be published to guide those stakeholders who are constantly monitoring what is happening here as they plan their own investment opportunities for St. Kitts and Nevis. Harris has been consistently putting an embargo on that report so that the people of St. Kitts and Nevis are being deprived of what is a credible assessment of the state of the economy. According to him, just listen to me alone. I am telling you what the state is. Listen to me alone. Don't listen to anybody else.
Okay.
I alone must speak here. The guy is a serious dictator.
Okay, let me ask you this. As we're speaking about the economy and that, and you dispute some of his words that the economy is tops.
Yes.
Where do you stand now? How do you feel about the state of the CBI program?
The state of the CBI program, and I'm glad you've asked that, because I think a lot of people are confusing what may appear to be revenue that is continuing from the CBI program as against what is happening in terms of the effects of the CBI program in the overall economic activity and development in the country. Why do I say that? The CBI program had two options, what we call. You could make a contribution to a fund, SIDF at that time, Sugar Industry Diversification Fund, SIDF, or you can make an investment in real estate. We are sitting here at the Park Hyatt. Just look around. Let the people see the Park Hyatt. Those who've never been here recently. This is the workings of the Douggie administration as a result of a credible policy with regard to real estate investment in the CBI program.
So this is part of the
Yes,
as a result of the CBI program.
Yes,
it is beautiful. I am actually staying here, and I got to tell you,
Yes.
it is really marvelous. It is
You
really beautiful.
have never stayed.
You never stayed there? it is really beautiful.
But one of
It
these
really
days
is.
I will, I'm sure.
Okay.
But go back to what we were saying. I mean, this is a very important conversation. The CBI created employment opportunities. Over 300 construction workers on a Friday would move from this facility, and it was under construction, into town. No less, ordinary worker, no less than $800, $900 every week, went into town and began to spend. It had a multiplier effect on the economy.
Okay.
You saw outside of the banks, the ATM machines, long lines. You went to Bank of Nova Scotia on 4th Street, long lines all the way up to TDC. People waiting to get their money to spend.
Okay.
Look at it yesterday. You're here.
Yes.
Look at it yesterday. Not even a line of 2-3 people. Nothing. That is what has happened with the CBI program. Yes, it has reduced the investment amount from $400,000 US for citizenship to $200,000 US for citizenship. And then with the Hurricane Fund that he launched in 2017, which I dubbed the Harris Re-Election Fund. People didn't believe me. I said it is the Harris Re-Election Fund. That fund reduced our citizenship. 4 citizenships, 4 passports. 4 passports for just about $1,500 US.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, not $1,500, $150,000 US,
Okay.
which amounted to just about $50,000. They were about the fees, etc., for one passport.
Because that used to be 400,000, right?
Of course.
Okay. All right.
That's the whole point.
Okay.
Now, even beyond that, people became creative. And fellas who are doing development realized that, boy, we can become even more creative. And so they have found ways, Obi, of reducing the investment amount from 400,000 US dollars to 200,000 US dollars down to maybe 75,000 US dollars.
Wow.
Now, what in God's world can a developer who was accustomed to have a 400,000 US dollars investment from one person now reduced to 75,000 US dollars? How can he build a facility like this? Never, ever. When I was there, when Labour was there, we had the embassy suite under construction, over 300 rooms. That's dead in its tracks. Not even one mongoose is down beyond the site. Not even that.
Okay.
We had the koi. The koi is just finishing up.
Okay.
They're trying to open the koi. Listening to Lindsey Grant the other day, by end of this year. We had the Radisson that was located at Pirate's Nest in Frigate Bay as you go along the long strip of road from the first roundabout to the second. Pirate's Nest is on your right.
Yeah,
that was a massive development. Nothing has been completed there.
Okay.
You understand? Several projects that were started under that scheme where you invested in real estate, 400,000 US dollars, dead, closed. Not even one new project has started under this administration for the last 4.5 years. Not even one.
Okay, to switch topics again. There was an issue regarding this guy, Alki David, I think that's his name. Right? And there was some controversy we got with him. And speak about that controversy, and also what's your thoughts on the legalization of marijuana and the step towards going in that direction?
I want to make the point from the very beginning that a marijuana commission was instituted here in St. Kitts and Nevis, as was happening in the other Caribbean countries, because CARICOM indicated that the time had come for us to seriously look at the economic and other benefits, and of course the distractions that can arise with marijuana being legalized. And so our commission began to meet. In the middle of the meeting of the commission, Harris made a public declaration. I am against marijuana. I am against its legalization.
Okay.
Simply because I understand he had some nephew who seemed to have become engaged, and as a result of that was affected negatively by marijuana. But you can't use a personal opinion to impose upon the entire population of St. Kitts and Nevis.
Yes.
Allow the commission to complete its findings and hearings, receive a report, and then you respond to the report. So he interrupted that commission. There was a major outcry from members who were sitting on that panel and said, they finish away with that. Eventually, the report came. The report said certain aspects should be seriously considered by the government.
Okay.
Took the matter into the cabinet. Up to now, we, who are legislators, have never ever seen the report. The report has never come to us in Parliament. I'm the leader of the opposition. I'm the leader of the majority party here in St. Kitts and Nevis. The Labour Party still commands the majority of the public, of the residents of St. Kitts and Nevis who voted in the last election.
Oh, Labour won the popular vote in the last election?
Of course, and Labour will always do.
Labour always win the popular vote?
Yes, Labour is not easy. Labour is big and powerful. I mean, you know how we got out of office. You know how we got out of office.
They took three against one. Okay,
but Labour remains big, powerful, and strong. You understand? Okay. And so, as a result of that, we do not know exactly what the government is saying. Okay. But I have my own opinion based on the policy discussions that we've had. My my enunciations, therefore, were coming from the party. We do not have anything, we do not see anything wrong with the government seriously responding to what the court itself has now said. Those who are of the Rastafarian community and others who are using marijuana in limited quantities for religious purposes, for their rights and their chants and so forth, they should have the privilege and privacy of the use of marijuana.
Okay, Alki David, what's that issue?
Alki David now was the other aspect of marijuana, that is medical use of marijuana. We support the medical use of marijuana.
Okay.
We have done the necessary research, and we are impacted by the research of the international community that there are properties within cannabis, medicinal cannabis, CBD in particular, one of the compounds there, that can bring relief to a number of medical ailments, and we therefore support that. That is why I was found by Alki David. He knew our policy, he knew who I am, medical doctor by background, very much aware of what is going on in St. Kitts and Nevis, and asked me to become part of his team to see if we can establish the cannabis, CBD cannabis, medical cannabis in the Caribbean region, in a few countries that were positive in their responses to what the commission at CARICOM had advised.
Okay.
And that is how Alki David came here. He came here, unwisely I would say, with plants.
Okay.
Although he claimed that the seedlings from the seeds of the cannabis, medical cannabis, that the seeds were of no content of the hallucinogenic compound of the cannabis or marijuana. He, however, had not interpreted the law of our country properly, because it said that even if it is not the typical marijuana plant, but something of the genus of the marijuana, it is still illegal here in St. Kitts and Nevis. So all of the seeds that he brought were not illegal on entering with them, because he had seedlings or
small plants, okay,
which had germinated from the seeds.
Then
that became an illegal entrance into our country, and as a result of that, the police intervened. But it's the way that the whole thing was handled, because he declared what he had. He was allowed in because the plants were tested. Even when the plants were tested, they did not find any of the compound that is supposed to be illegal. It was not there. The police lab, the government lab, also said traces which were undetectable, basically, and so this should not be the basis on which any criminal activity should be pursued. But I think it's the plants, the mere presence of the plants, irrespective of the content, that got him into trouble. And he was advised against it, but he felt that his lawyers had interpreted the law, and he looked at what was happening in other countries and so forth. So that, but the intention of Alki David was very honorable.
Okay.
He wanted to bring to St. Kitts and Nevis and to the rest of the Caribbean a new industry which he believed can generate employment opportunities for our people, diversify our agricultural sector, because we still have hundreds of acres, thousands of acres of land. A lot of people are unemployed, and he felt that this was one way, and I encouraged him in the sense that this was one way of getting employment opportunities, alternative employment opportunities for our people, and thus invigorating the economy, which we said is not doing well over the last 4 years.
So you, as the next Prime Minister of St. Kitts Nevis, if you win the election, all right?
If already.
I expected that response. That's why I put it there. But so you are saying that you are in full support of like establishing and creating a marijuana industry,
of course,
because you know in the US it's one of the highest and fastest growing sector.
Listen.
You know, I mean, billions and billions of dollars.
course,
It has turned around the economy of places like Colorado and Nevada and those
you
places.
see, Bobby, people must not put any words in my mouth because I know the effects of the abuse
Yes.
of marijuana.
But everything have effect. You
I
know,
know.
if you
Exactly.
abuse food,
Right.
you get diabetes. Yeah, you know,
You get diabetes, you get obesity.
you get all kind of
Mind
stuff.
you, don't
Yes.
come like a prime minister, please. I mean, and this is serious. Please don't. Please don't, Bobby.
I'm trying.
Be
I'm trying not to.
Be controlled. So the point is that yes, and I have articulated this
Yes.
all the time as a medical doctor. There are serious implications on the abuse of the use of marijuana.
Okay.
Even sometimes if you don't abuse it, there are certain families, because schizophrenia, which is a medical
Yes.
illness,
Yes.
is genetically carried.
Yes.
And sometimes you take a little spliff and someone else take it. Nothing
Yeah,
happens
and nothing happened to them. So.
but triggers off
Yes.
schizophrenia, which is latent, lying undetected, unnoticed, latent in a person, and then it simply unmasks itself
Unmasked, okay.
with the smoking of marijuana. So it is not for everybody.
Yes.
And that is why the legislation must protect people like those and protect children in particular, especially children whose brain capacity has not yet been fully developed. You have to protect them. So we are not speaking about those things, but we are looking at in a controlled situation with the appropriate laws and practices in place. There's nothing wrong with opening up to the industry, the marijuana industry. Take out of it what we want from it, discard the rest, and move our country forward.
Okay. Let's change topics again. How do you feel about the allegation? The Prime Minister says it's not true, but the word on the street, and everybody believes it's true, that the government is paying criminals and gang members not to commit crime. You have any opinion on that? Do you feel it's true? Do you think it's a good thing? Because sometimes I say, sometimes you have to do radical things when there are radical situations to deal with. Okay? Do you think the end justifies the means? Do you think it's a...
Obi, this is a very, very, very serious question.
It's a very... Yeah.
Earlier, last week I think it was, I had the opportunity to respond to an overseas question from overseas people, all the way from England on this particular matter. It's a very, very serious development, as one of the means that the government under Harris seems to be employing in attempting to find a lasting solution to the increased criminal activity, especially homicides, that we have seen under his watch here in St. Kitts and Nevis. You see, remember, again, as I tell you, the Prime Minister is really a very deceptive character. And he fooled a lot of people in St. Kitts by blaming the opposition for the criminal activity when he was in opposition and we were in government. He now is in the hot seat. He realizes, boy, this is not what I really thought, you know. Or it seems as though this is really happening too quickly under my watch. And so he's being buzzed. His head is wild, searching for a solution. He tried to bring in the RSS and almost had them imposed in our country for almost a full year. It took the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Ralph Gonzalez, to say, after all, Tim, you can't continue to use the RSS in that way. The RSS is not for that purpose.
Yes.
Shunned him. After he went to, you saw him in a meeting with the Prime Minister at a convention in St. Vincent, begging to have the RSS, and he was shunned.
Okay.
He then decided he will go to Guyana and bring in 100 soldiers from Guyana, because he does not really intend to have a long-term solution to the issue of crime. And so, thinking that with the excess money that he has from the Hurricane Relief Fund, was supposed to be a roof program. He's now using funds from that program And he is, it would appear, as is being said, paying persons, just please, for God's sake, don't kill nobody else. Paying them for that. It does not work like that. No, one murder in the country is one too much, too many. Of course, and I know that. I don't want to have murders here. The young men say that they're tired of killing each other. They want to change. But the change is not to give them $800 and the leaders $8,000 per month and per week in order to effect.
They get paid $8,000 a month.
I have been told by
That's
some
more.
leaders
That's more than some.
$8,000.
That's more than some senior civil servants.
I mean, I am not saying
Okay.
that people should not be paid. I am not going to be critical of the leaders at all, because I understand. But that is not the way to find a solution to the problem. Because after the election, mind you, this is only up to the elections.
Up to the
After the elections, these young men must ask themselves, well, what happened to us? When Harris has imposed his entire family structure, every single member of his family is heading some big government institution, or they have been given money, hundreds of thousands of dollars, up to millions, by the Development Bank, by Timothy Harris's brother, Len Harris, to start up all kinds of businesses. But what happened to these young men after the elections are over? Can they get businesses too? Can they be trained properly to become entrepreneurs? Can they be enhanced in their attempts to consolidate their lives and protect and serve their families in some decent way, rather than receiving money just to make sure nobody get killed? This is absolute nonsense. I believe that programs should be initiated for these young men, serious, long-lasting programs that will enhance and change their lives. And for the Harris to be said, the Prime Minister to be saying, oh, it is not true. Well, the members are telling you, well, it is true. We go into the Development Bank, or we go to the Treasury, and we get our checks.
Okay.
You know, it's the long-lasting solutions that I'm looking for. None of us is happy. I was not happy when I was in government. I am not happy. I am now in opposition for this continued criminal activity. It cannot work like that. And to denude as well the leadership of the police force, professional organization, and manipulate it and toy with it just to get who you want to be in the leadership position to call you elections. That's not going to work either.
So you think the move with Brandy, recent move, you think it's a political calculation?
People told Brandy, Commissioner Quealy is your friend. Why are you doing this? Harris is using you. People want Brandy.
Refresh the people as to what happened. I think Brandy was sent on vacation again, just like how Quealy was.
Well, he has not been sent as yet.
Okay.
In fact, maybe Brandy don't even know he's going there. I must make a statement very clear, because I happen to know, but I don't know if he knows, because from his comments in response to that news item, he's very surprised. But Brandy, your surprise is not going to be sustained, because it is a fact.
Oh my God.
Maybe my saying this now may cause a delay, a postponement, but it will happen. Trust me, Obi, it will happen.
Okay.
And so what happened is that the Prime Minister is very uneasy with Quealy.
Why
Very
though?
uneasy.
Why would he be uneasy with Quealy?
Well, I don't want to really go into it, but it's the
Details.
pettiness.
Okay.
Quealy's mom is a strong supporter.
Oh.
She's in my constituency.
Okay.
I think that speaks volumes. I say no more.
No more. Okay. All right. Let's move on to you. Before we actually started the Facebook Live, the interview, you told me that your Labour Party would have a new relationship with Nevis. Can you speak about in more details of what you mean a new relationship with Nevis if you become Prime Minister and win the next election?
The relationship that the Labour Party especially when it was in government recently, had begun to develop was a new relationship with Nevis. And it started under Premier Joseph Parry. We had worked out and agreed to a number of things. Because you see, I keep saying that some people in St. Kitts and the Nevis seem to be allowing the ghost of Bradshaw to run their thoughts today, almost 30, 40 years after Mr. Bradshaw's policies were developed. That's not what's happening here.
Okay.
We are saying that there was an attempt to separate us. Vance Emery made a very historical act, whether good or bad, to try to separate the two islands of one federation. The people of Nevis rejected that. That was very instructive to me as the leader at that time. The people wanted to have a different relationship apart from the hostility and the history of the Bradshaw regime and the Daniel regime and so forth. Those days are off. Harry sat down with me. We sat, two cabinets were meeting regularly, formally, and may God rest his soul. Libert Herman, was very instrumental in trying to make sure that the two administrations could really forge a relationship that was long-lasting, where none of the parties would feel obligated to the other, or none was going to be discriminated against based on the other. In fact, with the CBI program, I don't want to say it, but I'll say it here. If we had continued in government, all right now, so Nevis would have had his own processing unit in Charlestown.
Oh.
There was going to be a formal structure, formal, not Harris waking up at the end of a month and send across some money. No, that's not the way to do it. There is no formality about that. It is not structured in any statute. It is not in any way legislated. It is just a handout. And Harris does not want to elevate it beyond what it is, because he's not going to be trapped into anything.
So it's almost like a handout of dependency.
Of course,
it's almost like food stamps.
Yes.
So just to keep them in place.
Yes.
Okay.
And if Mark does not give me the kind of support that I was getting when Amory was in charge, I can withhold it.
You could withhold it.
What we call in Semper is we tampus you. We tampus you. A better.
Yeah.
And if you don't do what I want, I pull it back. That's not how it should be. It has to be structured.
Okay.
And these handouts would not have been in that way if Parry or whoever else was willing to work with St. Kitts and Nevis. And look, I said, whoever else. Because if the administration, after Parry had failed to continue, wanted to foster that relationship with us, it would have continued. Okay. So the CBI program was one of the things that we had agreed upon. This is what is going to happen. This is how we are going to advance Nevis so that it can get enormous benefits, just like St. Kitts, from the program.
As you talk about advancing Nevis,
yes,
especially economically, I spent, before I came down here, I spent like 4 days in Nevis. And the complaint all around, Dr. Douglas, is that Nevis is falling way behind us. There's nothing going on in Nevis. Everybody complaining. Even Mark Vantley supporters complain to me that he has been a disappointment in terms of the development of Nevis, and especially in comparison to St. Kitts. And I could see it. I could see the difference, right? How would you, as Prime Minister, make sure that Nevis also is a part of the prosperity agenda, is also getting, not necessarily fair share, but getting some of the economic activity, so the country could move forward just like St. Kitts, because St. Kitts is moving leap and bounds, but Nevis seem to be stopped.
Obi, problem is the leader of our country, Harris.
You think Harris should talk about?
Harris is the problem because I don't believe that Harris intends to have any structured approach in dealing with the economic development of Nevis. Harris believes that Mark Brantley has aspirations, he's afraid of him. He believes he has aspirations to go beyond where he is, and as a result of that, Harris, being very vindictive, is not going to give to Nevis more than what he thinks is necessary so that Nevis can continue to support his coalition under his terms. Not the terms of Mark, not the terms of the people of Nevis, under his terms. He has his terms. I want to make that clear. That's what the problem is. So Harris is not really interested in any long-term this or long-term that. The man is just saying, I want a second term, I want a second term. And he's going to do anything to try to get a second term.
Let's talk about the upcoming election now.
Yes.
In my opinion, I'm just going to give some opinion here. You know, you're going to have a problem in winning the election because of Nevis and Mark Brantley, right? I think you could possibly do well in Sinkers. Maybe even get a 4-4 or 5-4 or 5-3.
You're belittling me?
Yeah, I'm belittling you. Okay, talk to me. How do you feel about it? I know politicians tend to be overly optimistic when it comes to election. But yeah, you think you have the election?
Obi,
talk to me.
The will of the people is always determined by the people themselves and their
Okay.
actions. I want to make that clear. So although I am very optimistic that we should be able to form a government by defeating the coalition on the island of St. Kitts and in Nevis, I, however, again emphasize the new relationship that we want to have with Nevis. In other words, whether or not we have a full majority out of St. Kitts, I have to consider the long-term relationship with Nevis in a functional federal government. Because that is important. You just simply said what the people of Nevis are saying. Nothing is happening in Nevis, things happening in St. Kitts. I want people to be saying the federation is moving forward.
That is what I want to hear too. That is what I want to hear. I want Nevis need to get this
expense of the other.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
So that is why I'm saying the new relationship has to be developed, has to be pursued, and we've done it. We've developed it, we've talked it, and we were a good distance away with it. But things changed, okay. But the whole point is that Nevis is going to be important in the elections.
Yes.
Whether Mark Brantley, CCM, wins 3 or 2 or 1. Because don't forget, Harris intends to injure Mark Brantley. Harris is going to implement the second and the third reading of the review of the National Assembly Elections Act by removing that clause that allows the people who are overseas to participate fully and not control in any way in our elections.
Okay.
He knows that Mark might have intimated, I don't know if it is true, but he must know more than me. Mark might have intimated privately to them in their cabinet or wherever that if they move on that, it will affect him. His seat, not Nevis.
Yes. His seat. Yes.
His seat.
I believe so too. Because he has strong overseas support.
Harris has told one of his very close aides and allies that Mark can in fact be controlled by that clause.
So let me ask you something. While we're on this thing, would you be willing to have a coalition government with Mark Brantley? And suppose Mark Brantley decide that he want to be Prime Minister.
Yes.
What would you say?
The will of the people. that is what Caribbean is my guidepost, you know.
That's
the
your
will of the people.
Yeah, the will of the people.
It is what
Okay,
the
all
people
right.
would
What the
have
people want.
decided. You see?
That's a good political.
I'm telling you.
That's a good political.
But Obi,
response.
to be very, very frank with you, a lot of this is going to be determined on the morning after the election.
Yes, I know.
I'm telling you because it's the will of the people.
Okay.
And so the people of Nevis must never condemn any of their politicians. NRP, that is a strong partner with us, or CCM, if the call on St. Kitts is the will of the people, is for this is who we want to be in government.
Okay.
I would respect their will, and I would expect it to respect our will. It's the will of the people.
Okay. You're giving me a political answer, you know.
Oh, but this is a very political answer.
Yeah. No, it's not practical.
It's the will of the people. I am guided by the will of the people.
All right.
The Labour Party supporters.
Okay.
All
But
that
they would
they've
always
been
have the majority and want
and
to win.
the supporters of PAM, the supporters of even PLP, although it doesn't exist really, except for one man.
But
even that will has to be considered.
But I would argue and say unity wasn't the will of the people, you know. That was the will of Tim Harris. Because he has one seat and he runs the government.
I don't know if they're right about that, but that is their business.
That is their business.
Oh my God.
Okay. Talk about your legacy, because I am here sitting here.
Yes.
At the Park Hyatt.
Yes.
And I've been to many hotels.
Yes.
In many places.
Yes.
And I have to say, this is one of the best. It's beautiful. The location is gorgeous. This is part of your legacy, you would say.
Obi.
And what's your plan for... You could talk about your legacy, but also what's your plan when you get into government? As you see it, you think you're going to win the next election. What's the future goals? What's the future plan? Economic development. Where do you want to see St. Kitts?
Yes.
Do you want to see it as one of the economic powerhouse of the Caribbean, the OECS, the OAS, the Western Hemisphere, competing with places like the Bahamas, Trinidad?
Boss.
I mean, that's what I'm talking about.
You're hitting the
Rock of Gibraltar.
Of course.
Luxembourg, I think.
Yes.
You know those kind of countries.
Yes, of course.
A small nation, but powerful. Monaco, that kind of thing. Those guys over in
Dubai.
What's the other one? That small, very small
Singapore.
one. Singapore too,
Yes,
and there's
course.
one of them in the Middle East.
Of
That is where that should be our goal. So talk to me.
My goal, ambition, St. Kitts and Nevis.
You got to think big. You want to think big.
Number one again.
Yes.
Number one again. We were there. We were climbing, and we were going to reach that goal. It didn't have to happen under me, because after all, my life is finite. And I have always said that I have been very pleased with what has been achieved.
Yes.
I am proud of the built infrastructure and the human capital that has been built here in our country over the last 20 years that I was privileged to lead this country. I want to thank the people from the bottom of my heart for giving me the opportunity to really make a difference in moving lives forward and upward. Not just the built infrastructure that anybody can build, but it's also the impact on the human capital. You know, when I started out back in 2006, marketing the CBI. You know what I used to say to the people when I went to the conferences to address them? I said, just think of a tiny little country. 50,000 souls. I described our people as souls. Needing to make their own mark of respectability in a hostile global environment. All I'm asking you to do is to become part of that agenda to make a difference for the 50,000 souls that we have in St. Kitts and Nevis. Just come forward. We were not asking for any riffraff. We were asking for those who would have succeeded in their own enterprising activities. those who were inventors, those who had intuition, those who knew exactly where we needed to go in technology, in the world, in the future. Come, sit with us, and let us see how we can facilitate you as our citizens to achieve your own goals and aspirations. That's what brought in the millionaires. That's what brought in people who had made their mark as being critical inventors in different areas around the world. That is what I was saying. How can we impact the human capital? How can we use and build on the laptop computer that was being given to every single high school student? Having this tool in his hand, can you please come and show us how they can best utilize these instruments of technology to advance our cause for a brighter future? Oh, I mean, that is what I'm proud of. Starting a revolution in making our people, or sustaining the thought. They started with Gratchen Days. Sustaining the thought that you can be anything that you want to be in the world. The comprehensive secondary education system.
I'm actually shocked that some Caribbean islands still don't even have that. Barbados? Thinking about
doing entrance exam.
Common entrance. That's what they call it. I didn't even know Barbados.
Trinidad, Barbados, all over.
Yeah, and I believe that has had an impact on the development of the country. That's why Sinking Nevis have moved forward.
When I told these people abroad in MAT in the program CBI that this is a country, you may not have heard of us, but out of every 100 persons in the country, 98% are literate.
Yes.
No matter what menial job you're doing on the street, if you are a Christian born after the 70s, you have a secondary education.
Yes.
Where else in the world you can find that?
True. Not many places.
That is what we need to build upon.
Yes. And that is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about visionary ideas like that, movement like that.
You said something in the future?
Yeah, the future.
A few weeks ago, back in May, I had some investors came here. Canada, England, Malaysia. They wanted to meet me. We heard what you've done. It's a great thing. Big hoteliers, big developers. We want to do something, but we want to wait until you're ready. I said, but why not start now? No, there are so much negatives on the program. We want to wait, and we know what you've done. I said, well, how do I know who you are? Give me 3 weeks, they said, and we will send for you. So, 3 weeks after, I was sent the necessary support systems, went to Hong Kong, went to Malaysia. Spent 48 hours looking around to see what they are doing. Credible investors and developers waiting to come back when there is a settled solution here in our country as to the CBI and the future policy of the government. Because people believe in our program. Despite all that is happening, people believe in the sustainability of our program. That is why we're still moving. Why? Because we entrenched a program. We put it in place. We made sure that we visited the economy, tackled our high debt that we basically inherited from a dying sugar industry, called in the IMF, the World Bank, the International Financial Institution. I said to them back there in 2010, work with us, put programs in place with us so that we can tackle our debt. Too much money, too much revenue was going in the servicing debt. We have to get rid of that. Use the money to begin to build on what we want for our future. Went through a program successfully, paid off the IMF, first country in the world to do that.
Yes.
In record time, gave me some money, gave us some money there. So in case your banking system was going to be run upon, simply have this. We said, no, we don't need it. The banking system is still stable. Used in the smallest country in the whole OECS. Penny Bank, started by Sir Edmund. Today is the largest bank in the whole OECS. I said, we are stable. Give us the opportunity to move forward. Lo and behold, things settled. But the people said, Douglas, we've been there long. We want to change.
Okay, as you talk about being there long, right?
Yes.
I am opposed to term limits.
Yes.
I don't believe in term limits. I believe term limits should be determined by the people in the election. That's the term limit.
The will of the people.
Okay, all right. I don't believe in... okay, but how do you feel about term limits? Because I just want to make this one point. I believe St. Kitts is where it is economically right now because you were able to be there over multiple terms, so you could be able to really get some of your programs off and running. When you have situations where you have one term and then another government comes in,
yes,
and then they want to change everything, you have problems.
That is part of the problem.
That is part of the problem. So that's why I don't believe in term limits. How do you feel? You feel there should be term limits?
I believe, in retrospection, I believe that this is one of the matters, and we did have it on our agenda, that should have been visited constitutionally. And maybe back in 2000 when we had the all 8 seats in St. Kitts and we had full control of the parliament, so to speak, we probably would have been able to make those changes. We did not because, of course, we were going through a transition period at the same time. The economy was on the transition and we concentrated more on those economic and financial issues rather than on the political agenda. And so we missed that mark. But I believe the time has come for us to look at that and see how we would be able to pursue it, but not in any partisan way. It has to be a frank and open discussion and consultation with the people, and then we go to a referendum. You understand? I believe that this is how we have to do it. The party trying to do it because it believes it is part of its own political agenda,
yeah,
and as a result of that, it gets bogged down into the party politics, and then nothing happens. But I believe it is something that we need to look at. But as has been, when we were discussing it among ourselves in the cabinet, and we did have the documents are there. We did have several discussions with Peter Wickham. Peter Wickham had done a number of public polling to get the views of the people. And I remember him sitting in our cabinet. He was very much in favor of term limits and so forth. And several members of our cabinet, Tim Harris being one of them, we were of the view that the people will determine the term limits by electing the government again and again, or changing it if they want to change it.
Yes.
So there was a strong view in the cabinet as well. That is not something you can just simply impose on people. This is something that people have a right to have a government of their choice continuously if that's what they want. You see. And so come back to my own situation, Obi. As I said, I'm very proud of what I have achieved. I was not holding on to power because if people are being truthful, even Harris, he would know that back in 2012, when the party was celebrating its 80th anniversary, we set out an agenda to make changes in the leadership. We brought in Professor Neville Duncan, Professor Emeritus in Political Science from the University of the West Indies, and he provided us, after some consultations with the cabinet in retreat, a blueprint as to how we would move forward in changing the leadership and advancing from my leadership to a new leadership, hoping, of course, that the party would still retain the power. Harris did not want that because Harris, I want to tell you now and tell the people, Harris was afraid of 2 persons, it would appear, in my opinion. He was not even so much afraid of Conner, who was my deputy. He was afraid of Marcella Liebel, the only female candidate who was rising. And he was afraid of the intellect, I believe, of Nigel Carty. Nigel
Okay.
Carty would have succeeded me in my constituency, number 6. That's a very, very strong constituency.
Yeah.
And Nigel Carty had come in as a young senator, very brilliant, very much dedicated, backbone his labor all the way. And I think he was afraid that if Nigel or Marcella challenged him at the party election, he might not win.
Okay.
And so the idea was to have me to hand over to him. Hand over to him when you're going to do this, when you're going to do that. I mean, the final meeting I had with him before I dismissed him was in my office, the office of the Prime Minister. There was one witness there and he can speak to it. He asked me, when you going to hand over the government to me? I said, hand over the government to you? What do you mean by that? He said, well, you ain't see what's happening in the country. I stood up from where I was sitting at the table in the conference room in the office of the Prime Minister. I looked out the window, pulled the curtain and said, come. Look through the window here. You see anything on the streets? You see people marching on the streets?
Yeah. Okay.
I said, the people march when I asked them to march. You go and ask them to march. He had no power there, basically, except in his constituency, and want me to hand over government to him with his forwardness. You understand? He didn't want to go to a democratic process, and then people said I was a dictator. He was not prepared to subject himself to the democratic will of the people of our party, to select the leader which is in accordance with the constitution of the Labour Party. That is what the Labour Party constitution says.
Okay.
Go to conference every year, select your leaders.
Okay, we have been here for a long time. I really didn't expect to go, but it turned into a back and forth conversation.
I'm sorry about that. I'm really sorry. We should have some lunch.
Yeah, we're gonna have some lunch soon. But just in closing, I just wanted to do some quick fire,
Yes.
some quick response questions. The Labour Party under Desmond Douglas is gonna win how many seats in the upcoming election?
We are
Quick
going
fire.
we are going to win enough seats to form a government, but it is not stopping there.
Okay.
We again will be impacted by the show of the will of the people in the elections.
Okay.
But I believe that the Labour Party is strong enough to command a majority, but it does not stop there. We believe that the will of the people should be respected. There used to be this notion, winner takes all. I'm not certain if that applies practically today.
Do you think there should be more women involved
Yes.
in elections? I mean,
Yes.
especially as candidates in the leadership role. And what do you plan to do in trying to encourage women to take more active part in politics?
Obi, I want to use this occasion to really commend Marcella Liebert. And before her, Jacinth Henry Martin, and before her, Constance Mitchell, because, well, Dame,
Yeah.
Constance Mitchell. Because these are the 3 women. And of course, don't forget, Queenie, in Nevis.
Yes.
Don't forget, she ran for Labour.
Yes, you want for Labour.
Yes.
This is way back in 1978.
Ermin Queenie,
Ermin
don't forget
Queenie.
her.
Yeah, I remember Ermin
And
Queenie.
of course,
And
you have
Berlin Clark.
Berlin
who
Clark.
passed away late, Berlin
and,
Clark.
right, and we also have nurse, what's her name again?
Oh, Patsy. Patsy.
Patsy too.
Yeah,
Yes.
Patsy. Yeah.
But there was a
I forget the
nursing
last
government there in St. James.
Oh, you mean
What's her name?
Jean Harris.
Jean Harris.
Jean
Don't
Harris.
forget
Okay,
Jean
yeah,
Harris.
Jean Harris.
She also must be remembered.
Yes.
So I want to commend them and now Marcella for really stepping forward. I know I should commend to some extent Akila.
Yes.
Nisbet.